offload. They caught it. Good times. All right, so welcome to The Hook. We're going to talk about today's episode and what we got. We have the training squad for the Americas Rugby Championship. How we're going to do this is the first person in each position that I name is who I see as the best in the squad. So here we go. Loose head. Taufete'e, baby, you are back. You are back in the squad. You are, man. He had neck surgery late in the summer, and so him coming back has been taking a while. You've seen him named in a few squads for the Saracens, but you haven't really seen him play a lot. So it's going to be really good to see him take to the field a bunch. Behind him, Tony Purpura, Old Blue New York. He's definitely the best domestically available loose head out there. He didn't play in the Autumn Internationals. I'm not sure why. I know that he was in Georgia at the time, so him not being active, I think, could have affected our play against Georgia, to be honest. I wish he was the guy who was starting at loose head. Then you got behind him Hulu Halo Mongoloa. You know, when he had to come in and play against Georgia, he did pretty well for, you know, a guy that shouldn't have had to play like 60 minutes against Georgia. So, and then behind him, you've got Chance Wengleski from Lindenwood University. He's the only collegiate player on this squad at this time. And then we'll move to tight heads. Only 3 tight heads named to the squad. I think Patty Ryan and Dina Waldron are a push to start. Patty Ryan's a little bit different of a style, but they're both play. He comes and is now with Austin Elite. And so I think you're going to have he's going to have to change up his style a bit to more of a Southern Hemisphere scrummage with, I think, the way P.J. Wanenberg is going to coach that pack, and also with the way, geez, I'm sick, sorry. With the way Alan Yardet is going to coach his guys to go push forward. And then, of course, Dina Waldron, he's played a lot, played really well with the London Scottish. You know, like I said, it's a push. And then the other tight head we haven't seen since the Americas Pacific Challenge is Angus McClellan with Chicago Lions. I thought he did really well. And although I felt that he had earned a spot on the Autumn International Tour, it was like, well, we had 2 good tight heads. You know, the question was who was going to play loose head. Moving forward, you've got at hooker some interesting depth issues, I would say. We've named 4 hookers, although one of those guys plays 8 a lot with his club. So Joe Taufete'e, you know, far and above, probably the best hooker in the system right now. And then you've got, he's with Worcester, hasn't played nearly as much as he did towards the end of last season, but the entire time of this season, he's either started or he's been on the squad, whereas last year he, you know, didn't get named to some of those early squads and had to just earn it on in the Anglo-Welsh. And the guy who's playing ahead of him is England qualified, so, you know, even though Joe should probably be out there, you know, the other guy's probably going to start more. That's just the way of the fact. Because, you know, the EPS and the EPQ qualified players get a salary subsidy from the RFU. It's, you know, big deal. 4 years, I think it was like £250 million, something like that. Basically, for every England qualified player you have on a Premiership squad, they, you know, they get a salary subsidy. Then behind him, you've got Peter Malcolm. Really like Peter. He's with Austin Elite Rugby. You know, captained the selects down in Uruguay, and you know he's got plenty of leadership. He's ready to go. He's young, out of Wheeling Jesuit. He played last year on the Austin Huns National Championship team. You know, just there. Very dynamic player as well. James Hilterbrand, he has played Super Rugby. He's currently with the Manly Marlins out of the Shoot Shield competition. Played really well with them, and sort of surprised he wasn't in the squad for November, but I guess, he probably couldn't have gotten away with missing work for those few weeks, but I think he set it up so that he could be here with the team with the ARC. And then we had a call-up for the Autumn Internationals midway through, and that was Dylan Fawcett. I've never seen Fawcett play hooker, and supposedly he's like a better hooker than he is an 8-man. I've only seen him play on tape as an 8-man. And, if he was going to get called up to 8, I think the line for 8-man is very long. So I'm not sure if we'll see him play. I would like to see him play hooker because I've never seen it. Moving to our locks. Okay, so number 4 lock, I've got Ben Landry with Glendale Raptors. I know that normally you look at what's out there, and Brakely and Taufete'e have been like the pair. But what I've seen from Ben Landry over the last 6 months with Glendale, with the Americas Pacific Challenge, and over the fall, I think he's the guy to start at forward. You just want him with the ball. You want him on the pitch. Then Nate Brakely from New York Athletic Club behind him. Definitely going to see him play a lot, I think. And then a new guy coming into the Eagle system is Brendan Daly. He played for Cal from 2009 to 2013. Hasn't really been in the Eagle system. Plays for San Francisco Golden Gate. Then we've got Nick Taufete'e going to start at 5. He's with Newcastle. Has been on loan to Doncaster Knights. Has played a lot with Doncaster, although he took a red, so I'm not sure how many games he's going to be out before the ARC, but I think there's enough games with Doncaster that whatever the suspension is, he's going to serve there. After Nick Taufete'e, we've got Matt Jetson, the 6'8" behemoth from the Utah Selects and now the Utah Warriors, straight out of BYU. He's a big dude, and you just don't find guys who are that big that can move around like that. Now let's go into our flankers and who I see at 6. Starting, I really see Malone Al-Jabouri probably starting at 6. Which is kind of interesting, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Behind him, you have Aladdin Shermer with the Seattle Seawolves. Going into, and Aladdin Shermer has been with the Seattle Saracens for quite a bit, so, it's going to be interesting to see. Go back to Malone. He's with the USA Sevens team. He's a very dynamic player. Going into our open side flankers, the 7, Tony Lamborn with Hawke's Bay out of the minor 10. He played really well in the Autumn International Series and over the summer. I wasn't sure because he took a red in his last game with Hawke's Bay. I wasn't sure where things were going to go. But I guess, he was also sipped with, he was a member of the Chicago Lions, and there were 4 matches that took out that red. Not sure how that works, but I'll take it. Behind him, Psalm Wuching. I think that Psalm Wuching is probably going to get capped, which will allow him to go play overseas, whether it's in France or with Harlequins, because he played with Harlequins at World Club 10s. I would like to see him play with the Seattle Seawolves, but there's probably a reason why he's listed as with the Seattle Saracens at this point. I want to see him break out. I saw him a little bit in the Americas Pacific Challenge, but I really want to see Psalm break out because he's a great story and he's a great young man. Then we go into Henko, so then we go into our 8-men. Cam Dolan out of Old Blue, New York. I have no idea why he didn't get re-signed with Cardiff. Obviously, something to do with their foreign player quota. Then we go to Henko Hammerscheis out of Austin Elite Rugby. He's going to be something else on the pitch in MLR this year, and I want to see him play a bunch as well. Looking at these sides, you go, man, we're really stacked in the back row, and that's just a fact. It's going to get hard to start picking back rows for our squads in the United States, where we're weak is really up front and like props. as far as like the overall talent pool to feed into the Eagles is concerned. All right, so scrum half. So the top scrum half in our system that has been named, Sean Davies. He's with the Glendale Raptors. He's definitely done a ton of stuff with them. He's been the guy. If it was like Sean Davies or Nate Augsburger, the entire time I'm choosing Sean Davies. I don't know what the deal was with him not getting on the field sometimes when Mitchell was coach. Then behind him, to be honest, I'm going Ruben DeHaas from the Free State Cheetahs Academy. He really impressed me during the Americas Pacific Challenge. Like, wow, this guy. He's only like 19, 20 years old. He's gonna take somebody's job. All right, like he is good. Then behind them, you've got Nate Augsburger, scrum half, Old Blue, New York. I like seeing Nate on the wing personally, but he's been named as the scrum half. And then another guy who I don't really know a lot, Devereaux Ferris, scrum half out of Life West. He's from New Zealand. He played in pro with the San Francisco Rush. He was also played with Life West and was the 2016 D2, national champion. So it's kind of cool, right? Moving on to fly half. Only 3 fly halves, named here. So I'm going to go with Will Maggie out of Glendale Raptors as number 1. And then Will has done very well against some really stiff competition. They played Old Blue New York twice. They played Life University. They played Mystic. And they played the first iteration of the Ontario Arrows. And he definitely led the backs very well out there. Behind him, you've got Ben Sema. Ben Sema's a great player. I love seeing him play fullback too, because he's actually pretty big if you look at him. And he's out of Rocky Gorge, because guess what? Rocky Gorge gives him a way better level of competition than the University of Maryland rugby team does. So, and then the third fly half is Will Hooley. This is going to be interesting. I think Will Hooley has a chance to break out for us. He's a professional in the UK. He plays for the Bedford Blues. He has also played for Northampton and Exeter. He was on the England under-20s, man. So this guy's very talented. If we cap him, I think, we've got, like, the next guy to play fly half in this country for the Eagles. Like, it's going to be great to see him. A guy who, killed it in the age grade system in England, choosing to play for America based on, how he's qualified. It's just great. Moving on to our centers, we've got, I'm going... Bryce Campbell, and then Bryce Campbell, and then Paul Lasike. Bryce Campbell with Glendale Raptors, playing inside center. Very, wow. He can hit people. He's just the guy you want there. Paul Lasike is interesting to be named. I think we just are trying to cap him and get him ready. But I don't know if he's really fully fit to play at this level yet, because he has been bigger as a just playing football with the Bears. I know he can run. I just think he might want to shed some excess weight that he has. He's gonna hit a freight train. If he's ready to go, he's gonna wreck on the field. So I want to see Paul Lasike play. I want to see him out there and just crush. Then for outside center, going Marcel Brocky from the Western Force and Perth Spirit. He is just, since breaking into the squad under Mitchell, he has just been great. That's all I got to say. I mean, I love watching him play. And then behind him, you'll see Dylan Owdsley, who has signed with the San Diego Legion and is out of St. Mary's. Very talented player. There were some rumors out there that he was pretty much giving up rugby as like a competitive part of his life. If you follow the Reddit boards for Major League Rugby. So very cool to see him play, and it's just going to be something else. Then we've got blindside wings. Ryan Matias signed with the SD Legion. He's currently playing with USA Sevens. He's just, I love watching him on the blindside wing. He plays very well. And then you've got Penny Tagiv. He played for Baylor in football, and he was also a professional NRL player. He's currently contracted to USA Sevens, which I find very interesting. A little bit older of a player, but the talent is there, and I really want to see him flourish and then move forward. Our open side wings, we've got Josh Whippy. Man, I really wanted to see him play in the fall with the Eagles when we went overseas, and I guess something happened with visa issues. I don't know. It really doesn't matter. We need to take care of our guys if we're going to select them for a game and not have them have to take care of their own, like, some of this stuff. Because you're wanting them to play this, that means you take care of all, like, the administrative stuff. And then behind him, Alex Elkins. I didn't really know Alex Elkins that well in this. He's currently unattached, and that's probably why. But we talk about choice athletes. I talk about choice athletes all the time. He was an Oklahoma State linebacker on scholarship. He was recruited to Arkansas State to play rugby. Interesting. But, he also played with the Ohio Aviators in pro, so it's really good to see him, like, coming back into the rugby space. Our fullbacks, what up? So really only two fullbacks have been named. Blaine Scully, Cardiff Blues. He's been playing a lot of fullback with them. He's also our captain. He's going to, lead this team on the field, and he's going to play a lot. Behind him at fullback is Taufete'e, who has signed with the San Diego Legion. I was wondering where he was going to end up when it came to MLR, but so I guess that was sort of obvious, So when we break down the squad, you've got 14 MLR players. One of those, if you click on Angus McClellan, Chicago Lions are supposed to be an MLR team next year, so that would make like 15 MLR players. But we're going to say he's amateur right now. But I saw the Chicago Lions hustling in the gym the other day. That was intense. Following that, overseas professionals, there are 10. Sevens players, there are 2. And then college, so amateur, again, is 11. College, 1. And unattached is 1. Let's go into notable players missing. This is where I'm a little annoyed with what's going on. Holden Younger, scrum half. He started both games during all 3 games with the Americas Pacific Challenge, and then split time with Ruben DeHaas. I mean, I thought they were both very good. Like Ruben DeHaas, he's in. I got it. He earned it. Holden Younger, he should be in too. But I guess, that's just going to give him more time with his head coach, Nate Osborne, and, they're going to have some chips on their shoulders. In New Orleans, Sebastian Calm, number 8. The guy's, Chile under 20, and has declared that he's going to play for the United States. He's eligible now based on residency rules. So why is he not in the squad so that you can just capture him? Then we go to JP Eloff, fullback 10. I think maybe it's because they know what he can do, and the ARC for us is more about developing players than, say, the... how do I look at this? So the Six Nations is not a developmental tournament, apparently. Whereas the ARC, we're capping guys, but it's still a developmental tournament because we're playing some teams that are below us as far as the tier system is concerned. And, they know what JP can do. Ben Tarr, loose head, he's not there. I'm sort of like, huh? But the props overall, I like the choices. Samu Manoa at 8, probably couldn't get released by Toulon, and he plays a lot. He plays 80 minutes often. Then we got AJ McGinty at Sale. There's a guy from down under the other side of the world that's trying to take his spot, so I can a bit understand why he's not leaving during this window. Then we got Andrew DiRotalo with Worcester, sort of wondering where he's at. He just signed with Worcester before November, so I can understand why he is staying to solidify his spot with the team. And then you got David Tamilau and CLC Mahoney. They play with Racing Narbonne, and you're like, huh, where are these guys sitting when it comes to the squad is concerned? And then Olive Khalifi was a prop over the November internationals. I mean, he's with the Seattle Seawolves. I think he needed to work himself into a lot better shape than when he was at, in November. But he did get injured, so that may have something to do with it. Let's go over the staff. Gary Gold. Big news, man. Gary Gold is here. He's in the States. He's going to lead this team right away. So he only missed 2 tests, so that's very good. Greg McWilliams is back, director of rugby at Yale. He's going to be an assistant for the attack and for the backs. Scott Lawrence is taking some time away from his awesome job at Oracle, and he will coach the defense. He is the USA Selects head coach. Sean Pittman is the set piece coach. He is back, and he is an Atavis coach educator. And then Chris Hansen is the team manager for the Americas Rugby Challenge. You know what, guys? Comment down below. Tell me your thoughts. Let's get into the discussion. Let's talk about where we're going as a country when it comes to rugby and what you think the ARC has in store for this year.